Hello, I'm Angela Anderson. Welcome to my channel, Thankful Art, where I share my love for painting through weekly tutorials. And hopefully you will be inspired to paint along. Today we're going to be painting a teapot. And this is our February color of the month, Magenta. Let's get started. All right, welcome. If you're new, we're painting all year long a different color each month. And this month has been Magenta. We are done. This is our last tutorial. I'll show you the other two that we've worked on so far this month. We did our little bird last week, and then our flower puppy. We're doing a botanical and a bird every month, and then the last week of the month we're doing kind of a seasonal themed painting. So we're doing a teapot. Not that that's seasonal, but you know, just kind of a random. Random, whatever we want to do.
Tea is always in season.
There you go. That's right. So we'll add our last little swatch here tonight. This is our teal one that we'll have, and by the end of the year we'll have swatches for all of our different colors. So these are available on my website to download for free. And also the traceables and things are available through Patreon. So you can also find those on my website though if you want to. Sign up for my newsletter to keep up with all of our tutorials. We're going to be coming out with our March schedule soon. I haven't picked my lessons yet, so soon, hopefully within the next few days here.
We know what color it's going to be.
We do know what color. You want to pop that up? It's going to be, drum roll please. I have to change that. Indigo. There we go. Oh, yeah, that didn't come up in the right spot. I don't know what happened there. Oh. Yeah. Okay. You can pop it off. Indigo. Yeah, that wasn't what we rehearsed there, hon. You got the sigh.
I just pressed the buttons.
Okay.
So, I don't know which one
I don't know. You did it for practice earlier, and it was fine. So, all right, I'm pulling out some brushes here. No, don't worry about it. All right, so I'm going to use some Filbert since we're doing flowers, and then for the teapot itself, I'll probably want kind of a more angular brush. So I'll grab my 3/8 inch angle for that. But you'll want kind of some round, like for flowers, I generally like round brushes and Filberts. So I'm just going to grab a variety of sizes of those. Grab whatever you have. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as mine. These ones are in the green handle 6100 series, and then the black handles are Aspen series, and these are all Princeton brushes. And then this one is the Velvet Touch from the Princeton Velvet Touch line, 3/8 inch angle, one of my favorite brushes. So, all right, let's get going here. I'm going to go over our colors real quick. And you're still on the wrong page anyways. So, burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow oxide, cadmium yellow light, yellow India yellow, cadmium red light, quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue, cobalt teal, phthalo green yellow shade, green gold, unbleached titanium, titanium white, and some satin glazing liquid. There we go. That's the right page. I don't know what's going on tonight.
It seemed like you were holding your breath there.
I just trying real hard not to say anything.
What is he going to show us now?
I'm ticking over here. Okay. Whew. Deep breath. Let's get going here. All right. So our teapot is going to sit. Let me just go ahead and quickly sketch out just a general area for our teapot. We want to leave plenty of room for our flowers up here. So typically I want at least half of the space for flowers with one of these teapots. So we're probably gonna fill in our flowers sort of in this general area here, and then have our teapot come down here, up, somewhere in there. Okay, so then our line for where it's setting, let's go ahead and put down kind of on the third right there. So that'll be our kind of general space to work in around. And for our background, I think I'm going to go ahead and pick a pink to stick with our pink theme, but go pretty light with it. So I might go white and just a tiny bit of magenta, and then maybe a little bit of the cadmium red light to make it a little bit more peachy, just slightly. And then get a lot of white. All right, so we're going to go with that. Yeah, I'm not going to really worry about exactly where my teapot's going to go. I know it's going to go in there somewhere. I'm mostly just going to push that paint in and around that canvas, and we're going to have that darker medium magenta along the sides there. That's what we did on all of our canvases, so they all match, the sides all match. So if we decide to hang them all together on the wall, they'll all kind of look like a unit. And I also picked the sides to be this nice thick side, so it's a 1.5 inch side edge, and that way they'll also match that way too. I tried to pick the same width on all the canvases that I bought, and I just went ahead and bought the whole year of canvases, so I had them all ready to go. You guys, if you're painting along with one of the series, all the birds should be that 8x8. All of the, or no, I'm sorry, the birds are the 6x6. The botanicals are 8x8, and then this one is 8x10 today. Sorry, I didn't mention that. 8x10 inch canvas. Okay, so there's our pink background. It's a little bit bright, maybe a little brighter than I want it, but we can lighten it or darken it up later. Get the burnt umber and ultramarine blue and create a gray. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of burnt sienna too, just to warm it up slightly. And then let's go ahead and grab some of the unbleached titanium. Okay, so that's a nice kind of warmish gray color, not too dark. And I didn't spray my canvas. I'm going to go ahead and just try to kind of catch that bottom area. That will just, it's a very fine mist spray. What that does is kind of open up those pores of the canvas. There we go. The paint will go on a lot smoother for us. Come on, go on in there. I want to make sure that I'm getting the paint along. You'll notice, like on these canvases with the wood, there's the flat side and then there's like this rounded edge right here. I'm painting right over that rounded edge so that when I paint my magenta on the edge of it, I don't have to try to catch that rounded edge, because it's a lot harder to get a straight line on that rounded edge. So be sure when you're painting this, you're kind of going over the edge a little bit onto the side slightly. I don't know if you see what I mean, but it doesn't have to be clean on this edge, just as long as this whole line right here that wraps around has our paint on it. We'll just make it a lot easier for us later. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna go across there. Again, I don't have my don't have my thing drawn on there really, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It looks like it's curved up there. It did curve up. So I'm going to get some of that pink and I'm going to add some of that gray to it, and I'm just going to blur that line a little bit with my pink.
We have a question.
Mm-hmm.
They'd like to know, should they always spray their canvas with water?
I like to just a little bit before you start to put on your first coat. Really, that's the only time that it really matters, to just because it helps. The raw canvas has, you know, sizing and stuff on it. It almost kind of repels the paint somewhat, and the water, and it's also really dry and just super thirsty. And so if you don't spray a little bit of water, or maybe just add a little extra water in your paint, it just sucks the moisture right out of your brush, and so you'll get down to a certain point and you won't realize it, and so you end up adding more and more paint to try to cover up and try to cover the canvas, and it ends up wasting paint because the canvas is so dry. So two things you can do is add water to the canvas or add water to your brush more frequently. And by adding water, I'm just putting the very corner of the paintbrush in the water. I'm not dunking it all the way up here. If you get it up to here, it drips down into your painting as you're working. So I never dunk my brush unless I'm cleaning it out. If I'm just picking up water, you just want to catch the tip of it in the water, and it kind of just soaks it right up into the brush. It wicks it up into the brush. All right, so I'm going to do a second coat on this top now that it's dry. You can see how much darker it dried. It's really pink, and I don't want it that pink. So I'm using the that gray that was here and picking up a little bit more of the pink and my white. And I'm going to do another coat on here, and you can see over here, I don't know if you can see that, but like up here, it went on real dry and it didn't soak in. There's like little areas where it kind of skipped over, and that's what'll happen if you don't spray your canvas. It just doesn't penetrate into the canvas very well. All right, so just doing a second coat here. Maybe a little bit more water, and if you've got areas like that, just adding a little bit of water to your brush will help the paint soak down in to those little spots. You'll just get these little dots of area where the paint just didn't go. Just add a little water. You can add the glaze too if you're worried about adding too much water, but we're not adding a ton of water. We're just adding enough to make it fluid enough to kind of flow. Okay. And I think that's good. We've got some good like kind of blur along the edge there. And then down here where our teapot's gonna sit, I'm gonna get some more of the burnt umber and ultramarine blue, and this time do it darker. This is dry now, so just wait for it to dry. I'm gonna go dark, and let's just go ahead and put our shadow maybe coming this way. So kind of try to figure out sort of generally where this is gonna set, and just put our shadow on there, and then I'm gonna blend out the edges. I'm wiping out my brush. I'm just gonna blend those edges out. Okay, good enough. How's chat doing tonight?
It's doing good. Everybody's said their
in there?
hellos.
Good.
Mhm.
Hi, everybody.
So-
Glad to be here with you.
They're all settling in.
Good.
Fun night of painting.
Yay.
How you doing over there?
Good.
Remember Oak Island tonight?
I know.
Back
Okay,
on,
so I'm on a time schedule. You guys are going to have to keep me on schedule here.
No dilly-dallying. We're 16 minutes in. I don't see a teapot yet. We should be almost done with it.
All right, I'm doing this mixture here no, wait, let me see. Yeah, I'm doing this mixture here, which has the Quinacridone Magenta, Ultramarine Blue, and Burnt Umber. Okay. Yeah. I think this is going to be our teapot color. Okay, so I want to have room for the handles. I might shift everything just slightly this way because I have the handle pretty close to the edge. So I might sort of start with where I want the handle, which is right below the halfway mark. So if I kind of find that halfway mark and come down just a little bit, that's going to be sort of where I want the handle to be, I think. Or the spout, not the handle. The handle is covered by the handle would be up here. This is a Chinese pot. I've got one of these. Not in this color, but the handle's up at the top. Okay, so something like that. And this kind of widens out here, so it does a sort of a V shape right there. I'm just going to use this as a kind of a sketch with my brush here. So somewhere like that, and then continues to angle down, so it sort of does a bump right there and then continues to angle down even more. Oh, I can tell my gray is not dry because it's lifting right there. That's all right. Let's go ahead and try to get a straight-ish line at the bottom there. And again, this teapot's not huge, so we don't have to go too far here with it. And then I want to bring it out to about right here, I think. So there's a line that will follow this curve. So this is slightly curved here. It's not a straight line. I probably didn't bring that in enough. I might have to bring it out a little bit more on this side. Okay. And then this line will follow the same curve as this right here. And then the top line also would, but it's going to be covered with flowers. Okay. And then these are going to curve down like that. There, and wherever the other edge of it is. So, gosh, I left a lot of room over here. I don't know what I was thinking here. So maybe I need to make it a little bit wider. It is pretty wide. Maybe I need to bring it up to like here. And this curve should kind of be of the same sort of angle-ish. So if this one's sort of steeper, like this should be the flip of that. Okay, that looks good-ish, something in there. And then this is probably not ideal to do it this way with the actual paint, just to let you know. I would probably use a pencil, let it dry, but I'm just not wanting to wait for it to dry, so I'm being impatient with it. Okay, I think that's pretty close. Might bring it down a little bit more here, we'll see. Curve that up just a little bit right there where it joins up with the body. too much ultramarine blue with this. So it's mostly burnt umber and mostly magenta, and then a little bit of burnt umber, and then a little bit of the ultramarine blue to make it a little bit more violet. Also keeps it from going too brown, too earthy. So I think that's good. All right. Now this color is really transparent, and I'm noticing that as I'm painting it on here. You're seeing all these streaks and things. So I think what I'm going to do is switch to a little bit smaller brush. Maybe this one is a flat number 2. And I'm going to get just a tiny bit of Unbleached Titanium and add it to this. And this will create a color similar to this, but it will be more opaque, and that way it'll cover a little bit more solid and won't have so many streaks in it. You can see the difference there, sort of, almost. Well, this has some water in it too, so got a little bit watery. There we go. Magenta, I'm finding, is trickier to work with than other colors, just because it is so transparent. And transparent colors are always a little bit trickier to work with because they just don't cover very well, you know. And so you either have to add white to them, or you have to put multiple coats of them on, or mix them with another color that's opaque, you know. So my burnt umber is somewhat opaque, but not enough, not as much as white. So this will help. This is a nice kind of undertone too for our teapot. It's pretty close to the original color there in the picture, so I think it works, and we can always add darker colors and lighter colors to it to shift the values. Don't know why I'm using such a small brush for this. It's driving me crazy. What the heck? All right, I'm gonna get a bigger brush. My gosh. Here we go. Just taking a million brush strokes. Get a little tiny area. All right, let's mix up a little bit more. Okay. Here we go. Plus this will smooth it out, and that little brush is leaving brush strokes just because it's so small. There we go. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I'm doing tonight. The tiniest brush you can fit into the area and make it take twice as long as it should. Check. Oh, always pick a big brush if you can fit it. It's always going to be a better option.
Use a big brush, but always the biggest that would fit.
Right, fit easily into the area. Yep.
Yeah. I heard that somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've only said it a million times and I'm not doing it. Okay, so this angle here and this angle here are not white, so I just need to make them match. So I think part of the problem is that I should have cut this off a little bit more right here. I kind of brought it in. So I'm going to try to bring that out a little bit more steep right there. Like that. And then I'm going to change that a little bit too. Bring this corner down a little bit. So like without the spout there, it should match, like it should be symmetrical. And so it's not being symmetrical right now. So that just tells me I need to adjust a little bit. Okay, we just need to let that dry because it's very still wet. So we'll add our shadows and things to it later. I think we're pretty close on the shape. I think this needs to come out a little bit more. I'm gonna pull that lip out and down a little bit. Round it out right here. Less water in the brush. I have to turn it.
So we've had another request for a summer flower garden video.
Summer flower garden video?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Well, I know that you did one a couple of years ago or a year ago, where you just kind of walked around in the garden.
Oh, okay.
Video and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And with the expanding garden that we're currently working on, hopefully there'll be plenty of flowers to show.
Our garden has been kind of a mess. That's why I haven't done it in a couple of years, because we haven't had good. I did one in early. I did a couple early on last year. But once the summer hit, we had a groundhog eating all of our sunflowers and things one year. And then last year we had rabbits eating everything, rabbits and squirrels eating everything. So we just it was very weird. It was like, it's just been a couple weird years. And then the year before that, 2 years before that, we had rust on our flowers, and so we had a bunch of them. They just didn't look good. We would have a patch that looked really great, and then we'd have a patch that was just really weird looking. So I just haven't had it where the whole garden looks good, and I want to walk around in it with you guys because it's just been a mess. So hopefully we'll get a handle on it this year. I don't know, but we organic garden, so we're not spraying pesticides, and now that our cats are gone, we have vermin coming in. We haven't had that before. Okay, I think I'm going to use a Deerfoot. Well, no, I think I'll use this one. Okay, this is a 4 Filbert, and I'm going to do the greenery here, and then we'll continue. This is still not right here, but I'm going to let it dry because it's too many coats right now. It's trying to lift. It was lifting on me when I was trying to mess with this. So I just need to leave it alone for a little bit. So let's get some phthalo green and some ultramarine blue and a little bit of the cobalt teal. Mix those three together. Should make kind of a green that's sort of similar to a phthalo green blue shade, which I could just grab if, I didn't want to do this, but we're already committed now, so we're going with this. So it's a little bit softer version than phthalo green blue shade. So that's nice, and I'm going to scoop that up and then use some of it and mix in some yellow oxide. Come on. So a pretty good amount of yellow oxide there. Mix that in, make a softer green. All right, I think that's going to be good. And then I think I want to make a darker version of something like this. So darker and a lighter version. So go ahead and scrape that up and just save that. So let's add green gold, which is phthalo green and yellow, and some unbleached titanium. That's going to make a really bright green, which is too saturated. So I want to take the saturation down. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow oxide, which will just add another yellow that'll tone it a little bit. And that's still pretty bright. I'm going to go ahead and kind of try to mix in what I've got on my palette knife from this mixture here, which had the Ultramarine Blue and what did that have in the oh, I'm sorry, yeah, it was this trio right here, these three with, and then this one we added yellow oxide to it. So just adding a little bit more yellow oxide to, and a little bit of that in there. Okay, so that's a nice kind of yellowy green mixture. I like that. Scoop that up. So we've got kind of a blue green, a more neutral green, and then a more yellow green. So we'll be able to mix into all three of these as we do our teapot here. Okay. So I'm just going to thin out this, get a little bit of white, a little bit of glaze. It had a little bit of pink in there, but that's all right. That'll just gray it out if we add pink to this, so it's not gonna be a big deal. And I'm just going to kind of do like a soft fuzzy, I might even add white to it. See how I'm kind of just scrubbing it out so that it's soft on the edges. That's what I want. I don't want anything too obvious. I'm going to get a little bit darker now. And once you get that on there, then you can come back in with your darker, but I want this stuff along the edges. Coming out. Just a soft fuzz. Okay. And then in here, in that darkest area, I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit more of Ultramarine Blue and like my burnt Sienna and some yellow oxide. Yellow oxide, burnt, and Ultramarine Blue will make a nice dark, more rich green. There we go. I'm going to kind of push that in the middle there. I think this one was just a little too saturated looking at it on the canvas here. I think it would go on too saturated. I want to keep it pretty neutral, so I want my flowers to be the star.
Your biggest fan has joined us.
Well, hi, Noah. How you doing, sweetheart? That's my granddaughter. She's sweet. She's awesome. She's a very good artist, too. And she likes puzzles like her Gigi. So, she's very good at it. She's only 3. Smartest 3-year-old ever.
Except for Amelia.
Well, Amelia, too. She's given. That's a given. All right. I'm going to go ahead and go right up to this edge, but not over it. So I'm just going to kind of go up to it because I still haven't put in my details on my teapot, so I don't want to have to paint over it right now. I'll add more green over the top later. Just try to do that. Okay, that looks good. Don't look like much yet, but we'll get there. So this is just filler in the background. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of that green yellow color. Yellow green. Some of the white unbleached titanium. And let's go ahead and kind of just put in a few little leafy type shapes here and there. You can just use the tip of the brush and just kind of blip them up. Keeping the middle mostly dark for now. We'll add some lighter colors in there later as we need them, but I probably need to just keep them mostly dark. I may have you go ahead and dry this whole thing, hun. Well, let me see how what I can do down here. This may dry. This is pretty thick though, so we'll see. I kind of added quite a bit of color, so we'll see. I'll wait. Just wait for now, and I'll be ready, just in case.
Okay.
Be on standby. Okay. I think I'll go ahead and stick with this. I think that's a good size, even for our teapot here. So let's go ahead and put in our darker details to it. So I'm going to get the Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Umber. Try to make a good amount of this black color here. And I added just a little bit of magenta to it, but I'm going to keep it pretty black. And I'm going to use it sort of at the bottom here. And I think I'm going to try to dry brush most of this on, because it's got that kind of texture to it, that iron. What is it made out of? Is it iron, I think? Right? Anyhow, it's got kind of a texture. So I'm going to try to laying down that foundation there. And then I'm just going to use the brush with maybe too much paint on there. Wipe a little bit of it off. And just kind of try to catch the texture and do a little bit of dry brushing. You can hear it, right? You don't want the paint too wet, and you don't want your brush to have too much of it on here. I think I have too much. Wipe it off. There we go. And don't be afraid of going all the way black at the bottom, because it is all the way black. So if you don't, it's just going to look like it's floating here. So we don't want that. We want it to be dark. Okay. You could use a different brush for this if you wanted. You could use your Deerfoot stippler, or even my blender would probably be a better choice, actually, because it's made for this kind of dry brushing. You can hear it on there. It's a lot stiffer, so it works in the paint. And then I think where it's kind of splotchy here, I think I'm going to get more of the original color, which was the Ultramarine Blue and Pink, or Ultramarine Blue and Magenta and Burnt Umber. and a little bit of unbleached titanium, right? We had added a little bit of that unbleached titanium to it. And we'll just go back over with some of that color. And because it's more opaque, it will help blend it all together. Okay, that's working. You can hear that dry brush blending happening. If you're curious about blending and you have a hard time with it, I have a whole video about it that I did a couple months ago. So you might check that out. Just go to my website and click and select blending, search for blending, and it'll pop up. It's got several different ways of blending, and this dry brush blending is one of them that we went over. All right, so going back to the black here, back to black. And let's go ahead and do this curve here. And again, not too much paint because it is kind of broken up. So I'll go ahead and just kind of dry brush it on there. Should be slight curve, ever so slightly curved there. And again, this should match this curve here. And this curve up here is actually going to go sort of almost in the opposite direction because it's more eye level as you come up. I mean, this one could be flat too. It depends on where the eye level is, but your curved object, the lines, if you're looking down at them, they're all going to kind of line up. But if it's tilted or if your eye level is down, then the middle one might be straight and then the bottom and the top one might be curved in opposite directions. So it just all depends on the picture. Okay, so let's go ahead and just start to do our lines down here. And this will be, I'm not going to go all the way to there. Just going to start these lines, and then as they go this way, they're going to start to curve and get a little closer together too. Like that. And keep an eye on this edge because it should eventually match that edge. So you can do these on paper first, or I'll have a traceable for this that'll have these lines that you can trace on at this point. It might be easier to do that than to try to freehand it like I'm doing. I think we got it fairly close, and I'm going to leave it kind of sketchy like that because that's sort of how it's in the picture with this teapot. Let me go ahead and get some of the magenta color, and now that we've got this in here, I'm going to go ahead and put this part of the tea spout down there, a little bit darker, and then darken up. Just get a little bit of that darker color. Darken up right here where the tea spout comes out on its own, sort of. Okay. And then I'm gonna hit that up with some darker color there too. Okay. A little bit of it off here. Okay. Ooh, that rubbed off the color there. Not good. Get some of that Ultramarine Blue, Burnt Umber, Burnt Sienna, and Unbleached Titanium, which was my background color. Kind of see if I got it close here by the background. There we go. I might have used white instead of the unbleached titanium. Okay, there we go. When I rubbed off that paint that I got on there, I rubbed a little bit of the background color off. Just touching up. I'm seeing little white dots through here, so just trying to catch those and fill in any odd streakiness that I don't like. And then I'll probably put another coat of that dark on there underneath the teapot now that we've got it on. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And I'm just going to use this color that we have right here.
We have a question.
Get a little glaze.
They want to know.
Burnt umber.
Go
Yes.
ahead. Sorry, repeat what you just said because I had you turned down.
Burnt umber and glaze.
Okay. They want to know that if they do not have phthalo green yellow shade, what could they use?
Do they have phthalo green blue shade? Because that will work too. Or phthalo blue green shade. Any of the phthalo blue, phthalo green, any of the phthalo blues or phthalo greens or phthalo turquoise will work here with yellow. And
the answer is yes. So
they have phthalo green blue shade. So you would just add more of the yellow if I add yellow, or more of the blue, or less of the blue if I add blue. That makes sense, because you're already kind of more towards blue. So the phthalo green yellow shade would be more towards the yellow. So you just add a little bit more yellow whenever I add yellow. Yeah. And less blue if I had blue.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see the smile. There you go.
What do you mean?
Well,
Why are you saying that?
Have a Coke and a smile.
Oh, Coke and a smile. Okay. Oh my God. I thought you were being weird.
Well, but that's normal.
That too. That's normal. Yeah. Okay.
This is what she has to put up with. Having to guess what I'm thinking. Make the
we
connections.
Celebrated 40th Valentine's Day together.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago. That was fun. Had a good day doing Legos.
Legos and playing games.
Yep. Played a new game. It's fun. All right. I think this is dry enough now. I think I'm going to go ahead and just put my finishing touches on this vase, and we'll start on our flowers. So I'm going to get my unbleached titanium and get some of this mixture of the yellow that went into the vase. Get a little bit of white here. And just right at the tip here, there's like some highlights, and that will bring that part forward. Maybe little bit darker right there. Get a little bit more of the darker color. Just keep the brightest part right here in the middle, and then kind of off to the sides here, maybe do a little bit of the more dull version. Also going to do it right here. And coming up here. This is only on a few of them. We don't have to do all of them. Just gonna help reinforce that there's a raised area there. I'm going to get a little bit more of that original mixture of the dark colors, the magenta and ultramarine blue and burnt umber. And just kind of clean up kind of to the side here and do kind of a little bit of a line. And then as it goes from the middle, it's going to go on the inside instead of the outside, but get the idea. Okay. And then I want this upper area here to be dark, so I'm going to just go ahead and put a nice dark shadow along there. Just right at the top where those flowers are going to be hitting, it's going to darken it up. So just darken that area up there, and I'm just kind of scrubbing it down a little bit, dry brushing it down slightly. Okay, I think that's pretty close to where I want it to be. I'm going to go ahead and give it just a couple more little highlights here and there on a few. Whoops, not that much. If you get too much, you can wipe it off. Wipe my brush off so it's not got so much paint on it. There we go. And if you get any of these that have gotten too much, you can always come back in with some of the mid-tone color. Some of the unbleached titanium with the magenta and the original color that we mixed, and put that in sort of in between, and just to kind of tone down any of the spots, since if you add the unbleached titanium to it, it'll cover some of that dark. And then I'm going to get some magenta with just white here. And just on a few spots, I want to go in with a little bit brighter color. I'm just going to kind of dust this on carefully. I don't want it to overpower anything, but there is some of this brighter magenta here and there. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop there. Let's go ahead and work on our flowers. So I'm going to go back to this 4 Filbert here, and we may not do all of these flowers. We'll see. We'll get as many in as we can. I'm going to go ahead and clean off a spot to work, though, because I'm kind of running out of room here on my palette. So I'm just going to clean off all of this dirty area here. Leave my greens, they're fine. They're still wet. Oops. I will get rid of the area where I mixed them, though, because that part will start to get crumbly as it dries. Okay, and then just get a wet paper towel here. I'll use my towel here. I'm just gonna tidy up. Okay. This is a glass palette, and that's a glass scraper that I'm using. There's a link down in the description in the Amazon shop for it. I think it's in my favorite art supplies section on Amazon.
I don't think that you're fooling anybody.
What do you mean?
Well, when you say that, you'll probably won't do all the flowers.
I'll do as many as I can.
I'm thinking that you'll do that many and then some.
And then some. Okay. Are you taking bets?
Given the time, we wouldn't see the teapot when this was over.
I have an hour. An hour to paint flowers. Let's do it.
You get in the zone when you paint flowers and you're just like, yes.
It's true. Okay, I think I'm going to move these just so I have more room over here. Kind of cramping my flow over here. There we go. All right, so let's use a palette knife and mix up some pinks. So this will be just a variety of pinks in different shades. So I'm going to do kind of a red, pink, and more of a mauve, purpley pink. So with maybe a little bit of yellow in it. So there's magenta alone. And I'll just do magenta with, probably with white. And then we'll do some magenta with the Ultramarine Blue. I see some really dark burgundy ones that are similar to that color too. So, whoops, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want that. I wanted more blue. What I was thinking there. The nice thing about golden is that I've had a couple of the ultramarine blues that were thick and just weren't. They had a few batches of paint that were recalled, and I'd already sent back a few of my colors, but I've recently opened a new ultramarine blue because this is my last little bit of this one, and it was really sticky. And so yesterday I contacted them and sent them pictures of it, and they're sending me new ones, so it's nice. And the Quinacridone Red, if you guys were here for my swatching video, I also had problems with my Quinacridone Red. That was a brand new tube, and then so they're replacing all of that for free, which is very nice. They are, I have to say, I really appreciate that they stand by their products. I've had that happen like I said, they had some recalls a couple of years ago, and they don't mess around. They just send you new ones. So if you're having problems with your golden paints, their website has a whole section on there. Of course, it can't be your fault. It has to be, you know, manufacturing, or you can't leave your paint open and then expect them to replace it. That's not fair. That's not it. All right. Okay, so there's that dark burgundy red color. And then let's do some, that's the ultramarine blue with our ultramarine blue, magenta, and burnt umber right there. And then this one is just the ultramarine and magenta, mostly magenta, for a nice purpley color. And that'll tone down to a nice lavender when we add white to it. So we'll use that for some of our flowers. And then this one, we're just going to add white. Pretty good amount of white and magenta, almost 50-50. This is similar to that medium magenta that's here. So if you wanted to just use that, if you have it, you can just squirt some of that on. Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and use this same palette knife because it's just magenta and red. This is my orangey red, cadmium red light with magenta, and I'm going to add white to it. This probably needs a little bit more magenta. There we go. That's closer to what I want. Kind of a watermelon red. There's a little bit of that cadmium red in there. And then this one is the magenta and India yellow. And I'm just going to use what's left in this with the cadmium red light. It's not going to hurt anything. Because this is going to be an orangey yellow too. Or orangey pink, I mean, too. Okay. Do that. I'll probably mix some more as I go, but that'll get us started. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our bright pinks. Oh, come on. Going through therapy right now for my carpal tunnel, and I have like 0 grips. I have to use my heel palm to squeeze. Oh, no. Okay, let me get that away from there. Let me get a fresh paper towel. We're just... All right, if we do this ahead of time, it'll go faster as we work. So, what would you say?
Getting organized.
Yes, getting ourselves organized.
It has been some riveting TV, though.
What?
It has been some riveting TV, though.
What has? Just me.
This whole thing going on over here. Hey, this is what you get when you're live. This is real life.
That's right.
We don't speed it up. We don't cut it out.
No.
This is you painting.
This is the real deal.
This is what to expect.
How long it takes.
I mean, those 5-minute videos where they show, oh, here's a canvas and here's this done.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's hours and hours and hours later.
Right. Right. And hours of editing, too. Okay, so I'm going to look at my picture and see what is behind other things in my photos and do those first. So I noticed that this cluster over here is underneath in some places. So let's go ahead and do that first. So I'm going to get this nice, oh, look at how pretty that color is. Wow, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. So this is white and this magenta mixture, ultramarine blue, magenta, and burnt umber. And we'll just kind of plop those on. This is definitely too light. These are darker, but we'll add the dark later. I think these are maybe nasturtium or some sort of geranium. I'm not really sure. Okay, so something like that. Let's go ahead and wipe that out and get some of the color just straight up, but with a little bit more magenta to it. And get those in the middle. Leaving that light color right along the edge. And then we'll add the yellow at the end, so I'm not worried about that. Okay. Good. Get a little bit more of that magenta and get a little bit of that purple. Add a little bit of that too. Okay, that's nice. All right, so let's use this magenta and purple here and do these big lily. I think that's, or maybe these are nasturtium, right? Maybe. Looks maybe like nasturtium. Is that the word? No, amaryllis. What am I thinking? Why did I get that word? Nasturtium is that one.
First things first.
Amaryllis. Yeah. What song was that from? I'm Fancy. Yeah. That's a dad joke from way back.
I swear that's what they say.
He's been saying that for years. That's a good one. That's probably what, at least 6 years old. At least.
Let's see when did it come out.
All right, getting some pink with the white and just mixing in the white now. And I'm gonna kind of come the opposite direction with that, and let's add some little streaks in there while it's wet. It's easier to kind of get a smooth, streaky look if you catch it while it's wet. So if you're slow to painting these in, just do one flower or just do these one petal at a time if you have to. I'm not going all the way to the center though. I want to keep that pretty dark. Okay, there we go. That's good.
That was 2014. It's funny because her name is Iggy Azalea, so she got a flower for her name.
Right.
So that's first things first, Amaryllis.
Amaryllis. That's really funny. So 10 years almost.
12 years.
Gosh. That's awesome. You do not let those go. Once you get a good joke, honey, you are dedicated. You are faithful to your dad jokes. That's all I'm saying.
And my kids and grandkids are going to love it every time they come over to visit. So what do my kids hear every time they say, I'm leaving?
Hope you find your dad.
It's still funny. We laugh at it. Bye, buddy.
Hope you find your dad.
Oh, gosh.
Yep. Okay. So just adding streaks in here. Getting a little bit brighter white in some places now. So I added the kind of mid-tone, and now I'm coming in with more white. I can maybe switch brushes. This brush is a little bit big for these flowers, but it's getting there. So I don't love that one, but it's too late to mess with it. We'll come back. Let me go ahead and get a little bit of this green here and add a little bit of that to the centers of these. Okay. I promise we'll make it look better. It looks terrible right now. That's normal. So just trust me. We'll get it there. If you're new to my channel and you're like, wow, she does not know how to paint a flower, I promise we'll make it better. Give me a shot here. It always looks worse before it looks better. So, all right, I'm going to mix in my 2 yellows. Go for a more mustardy color here. And then I'm going to get some of my white, mix in my white. I might go a little bit more the India yellow, which is slightly more golden. And we'll go ahead and use that to sort of pop in our centers. And I'm tapping it so that it goes on soft. I don't want it to look like it's pasted on here. And go ahead and leave the center just slightly darker. Soft and fuzzy. Okay. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of burnt sienna and a little bit more yellow and just dab in the center with that. Okay, there we go. And those are almost done. We'll come back in with a little bit more, but maybe some highlights on them, but that'll be good. And let's go ahead and use some of the green gold with this bright yellow here. And I've switched to a round brush. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. This is the 2 round. I think I'm going to get actually a little bit smaller round. Well, I'll leave it for this one, and then when I get to the very finishing points of this flower, I'll get my smaller round. Okay, so what I'm going to do is where these petals come in, I'm going to go over the center, and so kind of on either side of the edge of that petal there, it comes in on top of this green that I just painted before. It's dry now, or mostly dry. So I can do this. All right, so I just wanted to go like that. All right, so we're getting a little closer, and then we're going to have, coming out from there, we're going to have a bunch of little tiny lines. This one. little bitty stems coming, curving up. These ones are kind of just coming down. Right, and then go in with the kind of mid-green here. And right up middle, kind of the more middle tone green. Maybe you can mix those two together if you need to. We're going to go straight up the middle. So the lighter color kind of went on either side, and then the mid-tone green kind of comes up the middle. Now, if your flower is turning green, you're probably going a little too far with this. It should only kind of come about halfway, or just past the opening of it, and then it should empty out into the more pink color of the flower. I'm going to get magenta again and go back in and get a little bit of that original color, but I want a little bit more saturated magenta this time. And I'm going to now come back in the opposite direction with this. And this will tone down anything that's too in your face. I might grab some of this magenta that we mixed up earlier. There we go. And we're just gonna kind of define these petals. If I need to go darker, I can. I'm going to get a little bit of magenta and just go a little bit darker. There we go. This is straight magenta. This flower is pretty detailed. This is probably one of the more detailed flowers we've got in this whole thing. So we're just taking our time on it a little bit. Okay, that's good. Let's go ahead and use this light pink color over on this one here and just kind of tap in around some of that on the very tips of these flowers. They don't have to be fully covered with it, just kind of the very tips of them. I'll kind of bring out a little color. Okay, good. All right, this one is looking a little whacked out. I'm gonna change the direction that I'm seeing the veins in it. Realize the curvature is not quite right. It's supposed to curve this way. Get a little bit of white to do this. Okay. Yeah, see, a lot better. We're not going for perfection here. We're just going to kind of capture the essence of the flower. So we don't have time to get it perfect tonight. This is not our Tuesday night shows. We don't we don't try for that. We're trying for making this attainable in a short amount of time. And making it look good in a short amount of time. So that's the goal here. So don't stress yourself out if it doesn't look perfect or it doesn't look like mine. Just trying to have fun.
The detail stuff is what you do over on Patreon.
Right.
Where you do one painting over 4, 5, 8 weeks sometimes.
Right, exactly, or longer. Yeah. All right, getting some of the white here on the tip of my brush here.
Yeah, we got a question. Pertaining to the rule of thirds.
Yes.
How do you decide how you group something in composition, by color or by flower, or what is the decider?
I go generally for shape first, like size and shape first. So when I'm putting together something like this, I try to think about where my focal point is.
So sorry, not rule of thirds. It's rule of threes.
Rule of threes. Yeah.
Yeah, like a 3 of something.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, here, let me get a little bit of this with the like white here, and we'll do the little white dots in this one. Okay, I'm just trying to finish these as I go so I don't forget later. Let's go ahead and do the next flower. I'm gonna go back to a bigger brush here. So you kind of want to have a focal point. Generally, I tend to have it sort of like slightly off center here, so or here. So in this case, we've got this big cluster of 3 right here that we'll do right now, and those will be kind of our focal point-ish. I mean, I don't have like a hard and fast focal point for this one, but you do it does help when you're doing your composition to have a focal point, because then you can maybe generally put your largest item there, or the thing that's going to take up the most space, and make sure it is either like a single thing or like a group of 3. That's generally what I do. And then I will fill in around with other things and look at color and value and things like that, so making sure that I don't have like all of the dark red on this side and all of the light pink on this side and have an unbalanced feeling. Not that I have to, mix it up evenly everywhere, but it does help to kind of have an idea of, or like have a little bit of a balance of values, and then I just vary up the shape of the items so that I have some that are larger and some that are smaller. I'm going to do some green down here before I do this, because I didn't do it before. So I'm going to bring some of my green down on my thing here. Okay. I don't know, that didn't really probably answer your question, but things like this that are smaller filler items, I don't worry about the rule of 3. Like, I only worry about the rule of 3 on things that are like my main focal point, things that are like the biggest things and that are going to draw the most attention. So this, don't worry about it. And also I can group things like that aren't together, that in groups of 3. So just because they're not side by side doesn't mean they're in a group of 3. So the other flower that's here is the same color as these 2, and so those would make 3. Even though they're not side by side. That makes sense? And then I've got a large peony that's on its own that doesn't need to have a third thing. So that's kind of where I do. And I do talk, if you're really into the composition, we talk about composition a lot in my Patreon classes. We do our very first week of any new project, we pick our photos, and like I usually start with an idea and then we work it through together and perfect it as we go. So I'll show you what we're working on right now. So this is the project that we're working on right now, and when we started we didn't have a grasshopper, we didn't have this flower, we didn't have so we didn't have this butterfly, and we add things as we go. We didn't have these, like I had I had these flowers and this one and some things and some coral over here as my idea. And then as we got going and I started filling it in, we added more things, and we'll continue to do that as we finish it up. And we moved these around. We changed up, these were all like straight at first in my original photograph, and I changed it so that, they had a better flow this way, and that one of them was curled and that kind of thing. So we talk about all of that kind of stuff in those classes. These are the $15 tier on Patreon, where we paint these on every Thursday together for usually about 2 hours. So on Thursdays, and it's a lot more interactive because it's a smaller group, and we get to get a lot more input and questions and that kind of thing. So if anybody's in the chat, they can speak up for what you like about them. But I really enjoy them. It's nice because I also get to take my time. Like, whereas on Tuesdays I feel a little bit more rushed. I do enjoy my Tuesdays because they're no, Tuesdays. And I enjoy Tuesdays because I don't, it's a little bit less structure, or not structure, but a little bit less detailed, Going with the purple and my magenta here. This whole flower is going to be more of the purple. Yeah, these ones are a little bit more loose. I guess that's the word I'm looking for, loose. And I do enjoy the looser style from time to time, but then I enjoy the Thursdays because I get to kind of go more detailed and get really more realistic and take my time and really think about all my choices and make sure I have it exactly the way I want it to look, or most of the time. It's art. It's never exactly the way you want it to look sometimes, but it's dangerous to say, right? Not a science. It's not. We do the best we can. All right, this is just getting sticky. Okay, then we'll fit another one in here. Come this way. There is a pink one up here that I need to do too, probably. I think I might do these filler ones all the same and not have so much variety. This one is pretty detailed in my picture, so I think I'm going to get a little bit smaller brush because I was having a hard time controlling where that paint was going. So I'm going to get the smaller round or flat brush here, my white. So when I'm doing these, I'm just kind of barely touching down. I've got a fairly good amount of paint on my brush. Not a ton, because I don't want it to go too far. But it's loaded up with thick paint. It's not thinned out paint. And then I can kind of set it down and just sort of pull real quickly. And it sort of drags in the direction that I want it to go. So just make sure that I'm kind of dragging it toward the center of the flower or wherever it is that I want that color to break up. All right, that looks good. Go ahead and wipe that off, and I'm going to get some of that darker purple and some of the magenta. And really go darker in the center of these. And then kind of pull out some streaks from the center. And in between any of the petals that you want to separate out. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna get some burnt umber. I'm sorry, burnt sienna. Let's go ahead and get some burnt umber too. And a little bit of my green. And I'm gonna use that to tap around. Just the outside of this circle there. Okay, wipe that out, get my yellow and a little bit of that green, the yellow green. Tap in the center of the flowers. It should pick up a little bit of that dark color, and that's okay. I want this to be darkish. And then we'll add our brighter yellow on top of this once this is dry. Okay, so make sure you're kind of blending over the darker green a little bit. There we go. All right, we'll let that dry for now. I can tell that my flower color is not dark enough because the petals aren't going down into it. So I'm going to get a little bit of this dark purple and magenta and just use a round brush and really tuck it in here and kind of pull some little dark bits down into that dark green and around it. Okay, so you see the one I have done and the one I haven't done. I'll be adding more details to these flowers too, so these petals aren't done yet. I'm going to go ahead and add some bigger streaks. That darker color. Probably could have started with a darker pink for these. Okay. All right, let's stick with this smaller one and get the kind of more coral pink here. A little bit of white. And this is where I'm thinking I might use this color in a couple places. So we'll use it up here and down here. So I'm going to use this. Kind of like that. And then I think I'm going to put them up here too. And then I think I'll put some of this color in this one here. I think I'm going to move, I think I'm going to flip-flop these two and put my big peony right here and put the smaller one that's this color over here. So I'm going to put my peony right in here. I'm going to get this magenta color and put it.
Which brush are you using right now?
This is the 2 round.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to put the peony right there. Maybe make it a little bit wider. Okay, and then the center of it's going to be this bubblegum pink red. Okay. Let's go and do some of the very, very light pinkish yellow flowers over here. These are like freesia or something like that. And they have like this burgundy color. So maybe getting a little bit of magenta. Add a little bit of that. I feel like I want something coming off of here, so I might just do some leaves or something. These are really bugging me, so I'm going to work on these some more. Now that they're dry, I'm going to get the white, pick up a little bit of that lavender color that we were using for them, and let's just kind of brush back over. Really pay attention to the direction of each petal. Make sure it's pointing home right in the middle. We want it to point down into the center of our flower. Get the white. Bring that out just a little bit more. I might bring that center of the flower over just slightly because it seems like it's a little bit lopsided. Okay, I'm getting there. Okay, wiping that out, getting a little bit of this. So I'm gonna this petal is sort of hanging out. And these ones are opening up a little bit more. Getting the white. Okay. Getting closer.
Well, it's looking good so far.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There we go. Okay. I think that's good. Let's go ahead and get some yellow. And I'm going to dab it right in the center here. A little bit right in the center. And then I'm going to get some of the India yellow, a little bit darker, and go outside the border. So white and India yellow for this one. Go outside that dark border. Keep them really small. I want to go both sides, in and out, over the top of that dark green area where the center of the flower is. Okay, there we go. All right. My favorite so far. These are my favorites. All right, let's get some white and mix it with this pink here. So that bubblegum pink. And actually I want to get a little bit of that magenta, I think. Magenta and white. We'll use that for these petals. And I'm going to do a little bit darker version of this pink here with the magenta. I'm going to go ahead and fill in more of this area with this darker pink. Okay. And I'm going to switch back to a filbert that's a little bit smaller. So I'm going to use a 2 filbert here, or we could use that 2 flat that I was using before. I'll just use this. And I'm going to get some of that medium magenta color and just kind of define some of these back petals just on the tip of them. Just going to give them a little wiggle of this color along the edge. It should be just a little bit lighter than what we just put down. And then I want to get a little bit lighter pink. And I'm going to come in between and I'm going to put a little bit lighter color. Just almost outline a couple petals there. And I can get some more of that magenta if it goes too pink. I want it to go dark kind of as it's coming towards the center there, to keep the light pink sort of towards the tip of the flower petal. And then this one, maybe right there. Oh, like that. Okay, so that's good. Now I want to get I'm going to get a smaller brush. I'm going to get a smaller round here. Again, go back to the 2 round. And get that watermelon color that is the more red version. So I was using this pink version. Now I'm using this more coral pink color. And I'm going to just start pulling little spiky petals in. And then skip around, get maybe a little bit medium color and do a few with that. Okay, and then go back. Toward the center, I'm just going to dot almost, just little dabs. Okay, and then I'm going to get more of that bright, and come back in and define a few of them. Okay. It's not dots, it's more like little lines and slashes as you get toward the center. There's a lot of little overlapping ones, and I'm not going to be able to get them all in here. So I'm just going to kind of try to get the essence of what I'm seeing without having to define them all. So you just have to kind of play with it a little bit. It may take you a couple tries, and you can come back in with your darker color and put back in some of the darker color again, and then add some more of the lighter color. But I think that's okay there. Let's see, I think I want some, add some turquoise, just a little tiny bit, because I think it will kind of help meld all these colors. They kind of bridge the gap maybe a little bit between the magenta and the other colors. So I'm just going to add a few little dollops of that and see if that kind of helps settle some of the color tone. Yeah, I feel that. I don't know. It kind of shifts it away from being so polar opposite and kind of softens everything up a little bit. I think I'm going to do the same thing with a little bit of like a peachy color. So get some of this red and some of the yellow. This is the Cadmium Red Light and the India Yellow, and add some Unbleached Titanium to it. And I think I'm going to add just a little bit of pink to it. And some white. Okay. So it's just kind of a creamy yellow. I think I'm going to use some of that in maybe over here in these flowers. Or maybe add a trying to think if I want to add some other flowers that are in this color. I just add some little dots here and there. Kind of like I did with that turquoise. See how that kind of blends it all together? Can even add some of this in my flowers here. And then let's go ahead and add some of it in maybe on these flowers here. Let's add some white little bit of our pink. And we'll finish these flowers here that are kind of this. Light pink color. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're getting close. Okay, we're almost done. I think we're gonna go a little over our 8 o'clock time though. I kind of figured with this one. Yeah,
I am gonna miss the recap.
sorry. We have it recorded, so you can skip through commercials
It's
that
not
way.
like seeing it live
Mhm.
as it happens.
Right. Well, sorry.
Because there could be spoil alerts out there. I might see something.
Mhm. I'm not worried about it. Sorry. I'm sorry, not sorry.
I can tell by the lack of urgency in your voice.
All right, just yeah, much better.
I think you need something on the.
Well, we're gonna add another purple flower here. What we're gonna say?
Oh no. Oh.
You think I need something on the what?
It looks like it's kind of like leaning to the right with the flowers on the right hand side, kind of like making that line going straight up.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it's not balanced on the left. So yeah, by adding something over there.
Yeah, we already mentioned we were gonna. I moved these two to flip flop those two, so just I'm gonna add that smaller one there, and then that way we have our third of that kind of more intense red too. That way, but I'm impressed that you noticed that, eh? Yeah, it's pretty. You've been hanging out with me.
My eyes just flew right off the canvas. That's how I
No
knew.
place to rest.
The place that they just kept on, they followed that line of flowers up, and then next thing I know, I'm up looking at the posters on the wall, like, what the heck am I doing?
Good thing you've been hanging out with me. You know what to do. No. Okay, so there we go. Got a little thing. I think that'll help. Let's go ahead and let that dry because that's got a lot of paint on it. And we'll go ahead and get some white here and try to highlight these. Get some white and some yellow. Gonna highlight these ones here that we started. Get a little bit of green. I really don't know what to do with these. They're not showing up. I think partly the background is. And let me get just a little bit of this purple maybe. There we go. That helped. Just making that white color a little bit more noticeable. I think I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple. Whoa, what in the world? It just picked up that whole thing of white. Get a little bit more of that. I might put a few. Okay. magenta, full strength. A little bit of purple. And put it right here, and then right here and here. All these ones. I'm going to wipe that out, and then I'm just going to try to kind of get a little bit of that medium pink and sort of tap it around to just soften off where that magenta comes out. Kind of like what we did with these ones, just kind of if you tap along the edge there between where the petals and the flower start, where the center goes in, we'll kind of just soften the whole thing up. All right, it's getting some white. It's mixing in with this and just kind of letting it define some of these petals a little bit better. These are a little bit more spiky, so you can kind of make the tips a little bit more spiked. These ones are coming out at us, so they're not stretched out. But then these ones are kind of more angular. There we go. Get more of that magenta. Okay.
Hey, you were right.
Am I all right?
No, you were right.
I was right about what?
That if we were patient, you would make the flowers look better.
They're getting there. They're getting there. I'm getting some white here with my yellow. And I'm going to dab those in right here. My little, I switched over to this angle brush so I could get smaller little dots in there. Okay. And same thing for these ones here. And then this one has yellow there. And I'm going to get a little bit of the burnt sienna and yellow oxide. Just dab that around the outside a little bit.
They'd like to know if that is unbleached titanium in the dots.
This is, no, it was yellow and white.
Just white.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Getting more yellow here. Sometimes the yellow takes a couple of coats to get it the brightness that you want it to, so you may have to, kind of like white in that way. You may have to come back to it and give it a couple of coats. Alright, we're getting there. Alright, let me get a little bit more of the white and some of this pink here. The more bubblegum pink with the red in it. And I'm going to use this brush now that I have it and try to get some little more angular little petals in the middle here. Okay, just kind of lines sort of all concentrically leading towards the center, and then these ones on the outside are kind of facing out and have little more ruffled edges, more pointy edges. And get a little bit of that pink with the white. Just kind of touch up along the edges of these. Give them a little bit more of a brighter pink. Okay. Go a little bit darker in the centers of these. Ooh, I got I don't remember what color my background was. I think it was burnt umber and ultramarine blue with unbleached titanium, maybe. Got a little pink down there. So if you get have a mistake and you don't mix the color exactly, just kind of brush it in a couple other places. That way it looks like you meant for it to be there. It doesn't make it stand out, you know, in that one area. So zoomed out there, but get the idea. Okay, I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today. I probably could do more with it, but it's late, so we'll try to end on time as much as we can here. I got it close. Let me go ahead and sign it.
Okay.
Super chat.
Super chat.
Right.
Yeah, we had a super chat tonight.
Wonderful. Thank you.
From our friend Laura.
Oh, thank you, Laura. Another awesome evening with the Andersons. Thank you, Laura.
Yes.
You're awesome.
And with all
Appreciate
of our
you.
friends from around the world.
Yes, absolutely. I'll make this so much fun for us.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, I definitely think it needed this. You could probably put another one here because it still does feel a little bit pushing this way, and that's probably only because you've got these two lines going this way, so you could add another line this way or here. We've got this line here, so that does kind of counteract it, but they do all go in this direction.
Mm-hmm.
So you got this line, and this line going this way. So, you know, you could use maybe another one coming out this way or something. But I think for the most part I like it. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you to Laura again for your super chat.
And what's our color for March?
And our color for March is going to be indigo. So if you've got any ideas for indigo, let me know down in the chat. I think we're going to paint an indigo bunting.
Ooh, yes.
And I'm not really sure what we're going to do for the botanical yet. I think I've got some ideas though, so we'll see. Yeah, I got to decide that this week. So now's the time. Speak now. Forever hold your peace, because I'm going to be deciding. So you can send me, just comment on this video if you've got an idea for what you want to see in the indigo. But it's going to be colors like Prussian blue and Payne's gray and all of those deep dark blues be our color for next month. So I hope you guys join us for that. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.